three new teams made it in. 3 new teams made it in. Being one of those is pretty important here for the spring split, getting in the LCS. And again, these are very good players, very good teams. They've got a real shot at to make it there.
So we're into the bans and the picks then. Elise, Lissandra, Jarvan the 4th, same bans for Copenhagen Wolves. On the other side, Lee Sin, Nunu, also the same bans coming out for ESC.
And these are the respected bans here. They're dealing with the solo laners, the jungle, the hardcore initiation, more so than the late game hyper carry. So all 6 are replicated here. It's even not side specific. It's just, yes, we're gonna make sure we get rid of those because that's what we want to get rid of. And the interesting thing is Copenhagen Wolves are, you know, the Evelyn, the person who can turn these fights around, they still want that right away here, stealing that one out. That wasn't first pick last time, but they do want it here.
Yep, Evelyn coming straight out there. That, of course, leaves Shen. That leaves Twisted Fate. Well, there we go. Shen and Twisted Fate, as if by magic, for ESC from this one. So, a little bit of a turnaround from last time. Obviously, Shen and Twisted Fate on opposite sides in that first game. Steve played that Shen in game number 1, and Coutard played the Twisted Fate. Looks like that's going to be in the hands of the Copenhagen Wolves. On the other side, we see Nami and Zyra both locked in at the same time.
So we do have the same 5 champions, 5 of the same champions that we have had last time, but now you've forced a new support out of ESC, and this is cool because I talked about the Zyra vs TF matchup last time, saying that Zyra has good bully potential, can knock TF out, and Coutard now wants to do this, and this is good. I remember Mid Zyra was one of his favorite champions back even in the spring promotion tournament back on the old Copenhagen Wolves where he was on. This should be a good matchup for Coutard, has very good bully potential, can lock TF out from roaming. And then you've still got a Nami lane, which is kind of the new flavor of the month support that can ruin a lot of lanes and make a lot of things happen.
Yeah, and we saw that, obviously, in game number 1 as well, locking up a good few kills. On the other side, it looks like we are going to be seeing Leona coming out here, and a Nocturne, so a very different team this time around for ESC.
This is... I was hoping they would actually go for the Nocturne here because it was the exact same composition that Curse ran against Dignitas a couple weeks back. Full of globals, diving in fights, and even they picked up Ezreal in that one. Even he could show up and try to deny even more. Reckless though, right, choosing his long-range safe AD carries, that's his style right here, Tristana and Ezreal. I'd almost want him to steal away Ezreal just to like remove one of the potential globals and fight participation here, but at the same time, he's just as safe against Shen Zach as he was against Shen Zach last game, picking a late game scaler, grabbing up Malphite to deny the AD carry on the other side. They could run that same team comp and they'll work okay. Argo and Ezreal here, so a little bit less damage output from him. We'll see how it goes.
Well, let's see what we'll get the finisher here for ESC. Obviously looking for an AD carry for Prathana. Himself is in fact a Tristana player as well, so we'll see whether they go that route or maybe a Varus. Obviously, the fact that you got Leona, Shen, and Zac all diving in there, always nice to have that chain of corruption to lock them in place afterwards.
So anyone who can follow up with Leona, they're picking this lane for the laning phase more so than team fight. No, Varus is a good team fighting AD carry, don't get me wrong, but when your entire team dives in, he's going to be unsafe in the back line. He's going to have a really hard time dealing with Young Buck in team fights. Varus' life will not be easy, but in lane, Leona Varus can bully really hard. They can damage like faster than Nami can heal, and they could keep trying to put damage on a Reckless. However, Reckless has the potential to outplay the Leona. He can arcane shift away from every Zenith blade that comes out and never get caught by that stun, but that will be constantly on cooldown if that comes in when arcane shift is down. They've got the kill potential there, and there's always the option.
Yeah, going for barrier this time, as we saw in that last game on both AD carries as well. We will be seeing Youngbuck running that teleport again, and pretty much a requirement, I'd say, against Twisted Fate and Shen on one team.
It definitely is. You need someone to react to that one. And note the summoner spell on Exile as well. He stopped going Teleport Rise because he needed to match the TF in his lane. Has gone Ignite here on TF. And Coutard actually went Ignite as well. So we've actually got a lopsided global scenario now. Before it was 2 global ultimates and 2 teleports. Now it's 2 global ultimates versus 1 teleport. And so you've got a different scenario here where you've got better map mobility now from the ESC team. They can force those engages on bottom lane and shut down players like Reckless much more easily.
Well, we'll see if Copenhagen Wolves can get that perfect start like the last one. Double kill on first blood for Reckless. He ended the game with 14 kills, including that quadra right at the in the dying moments of game number 1. You can see on your screen, ESC, a a newcomer team definitely to a stage this side, and it almost sounds strange to say the fact that, you know, Reckless is 16 years old, and he's got more experience than quite a lot of players that are, you know, on the professional level these days.
Yeah, there's some players in North America we make fun of for being like perennially 16 years old because we've seen them for 2 or 3 years in competitive play and can't join the LCS till next season, and they're just waiting for their chance to go for it. It's funny when players like graduate high school mid-season and are still going for it. So it's always fun to watch the guys who are just there and at the cusp and ready to make their mark and prove to the world that they're the best, because they're right here. They're in the promotion qualifier tournament, right? Reckless pledged to join Fnatic and all that, and you're going to see these guys continue to fight on the world stage, and you're watching the stars right now.
So here we go then. Are we going to see any level 1 action? We didn't see in game number 1. Both teams were very cautious about what they went for there. This time around, Reckless and Coutard both on this top side of the map, so they're kind of split waiting for someone maybe to take a step out of that one. Prathana is on this top side as well, so it looks like we could very possibly be seeing a bit of a switch around in those lanes. Maybe a little bit too early to call that one at this stage, but Copenhagen Wolves definitely on this invade path right now as they head up towards the tri-bush. There's no ward there either from ESC.
This is interesting because the level 1 team is so much stronger here from ESC. If they had warded that brush before they left, they would know exactly what Wolves were up to. It could catch them out and get free kills off of this. They would know exactly where Wolves were. If they put one more ward down, they could get a bunch of kills early on. And ESC, the interesting thing is, I feel like they feel very confident about their champion select here, that they don't want to have a level 1 engage or force level 1 engage. They would like some free kills, but their actual team fight's very good. Their actual like early mid-game gameplay should be fine. They can wait this out and play the standard mid-game and do well against Wolves.
Steve just saw Reckless there as he didn't go directly into the bush. He was kind of walking on the top side of it, and that's what gave the position away there. But they are still on this top side of things as Prathana is going to come through. The grasping roots not quite landing onto Prathana there, and we see the Hefty Schlump getting big support here by his red buff. They want to stop that being stolen away by the Wolves.
So this was very well played by them. Anyone who invades like this always recalls the other solo laner and walks him out of the base and goes down to that lane. Young Buck right now just got there. ESC knew that was going to happen. They know that anyone who invades, especially anyone who pink wards and invades, are going to have only 4 men there, so they ran the rest of their team up there. Normally they don't want a level 1, but they said, well, I mean, if we find you, sure, we'll go for it, and got free control of that one and just ruined the invade that Wolves tried to do. As a result, Shook had to burn his smite to take his blue buff. It's going to be a little bit harder for him to clear the jungle now.
So we're going to have a 2v2 in this top lane, and probably could be quite an explosive lane as well in there with that Leona. Obviously able to dive in there with the crowd control. Nami, you can lock them up with those aqua prisons as well. We see Shook there down on his red buff now. Zach is on his blue. So we could see possible action in that bottom lane now.
Well, the interesting thing is the top lane is very tricky because, again, I talked about how Varus Leona should have a very easy time fighting them. And Wolves pushed early on to prevent any level 1 or level 2 fights right now, because if they're pushed up to the turret, they've got more minions there. You can't push in against a giant minion wave. And they knew that Schlump started at his top lane red buff, so they know he's got to go down, clear the bottom lane. He's not going to be back to the top lane until at least 3.5 minutes, and so Wolves have this time of freedom. Even though Tri-Brush was pinked, they know there's no jungler there and nothing to be afraid of for a while. And so the Wolves were happy to push and be unsafe. As time wears on, they've got to be more and more careful.
Schlump is actually waiting here inside of the tri-bush in that bottom lane. We'll see if they decide to go anything here on towards Youngbuck. There is the taunt coming out. Didn't quite get the slowdown on towards Youngbuck, and that's going to allow him to stay safe. No flashes burnt from that either.
So Young Buck, he's not going to have a hard time of surviving in this lane overall. He's got the movement speed steal from his Q. He's a very tanky man in general, and came in the lane with a heck of a lot of potions. Young Buck, very experienced, should know what he's doing. And again, he knew the jungle pattern from Zach, pushed to the turret and said, yeah, Zach's probably hiding in Tri-Brush. He finished blue about a minute ago. Oh, there he is, hey. And just got away.
And he's played this matchup before today. Let's not forget. Obviously doing great there. Did get forced out of lane early on, but overall won the farm game, and right now is doing a similar thing here as well at 27 to 17. Got an early 10 CS lead from that one right now. The Hefty Schlump is working his way up towards his top lane. Did pass over a ward that has now timed out, but doesn't matter. Copenhagen Wolves had that vision there. They saw him coming this top side, and they know that they need to be a little wary.
And a lot of that early minion lead from Youngbuck did come from the fact that he recalled back at about 1:25, went into the lane first, and Steve was there to help his team counter-invade the red buff and buy time. So that's kind of a loan they took out there, saying, Steve, you're going to be a little bit broke, but we want to make sure we control our red buff. And so what really matters is, can Shook keep up? Because he wasted some early jungle time. Right now you see that Shook is 4.5, whereas Schlumpf is 4.5 as well. So pretty much everything paid off for the Wolves here.
So they sit back in this top lane there. They know that Six has been getting those wards down. They've got no vision of their own from that one, so got to be careful on that front. In that mid lane, we did see Twisted Fate also being very careful not to be getting caught out by Cowtardy. Grasping root with Evelyn sniffing around. Could be the end here for Exile.
And you look where he's standing. The root comes out. Ooh, good flash.
Yeah, flashing away from that one, and that's what we're talking about, the danger. And now, the flash is obviously a lot longer cooldown than that Grasping Roots, and that means that these next couple of minutes are going to be dangerous for Twisted Fate.
And the position they chose right there was so smart. Zyra hugged the left side of the lane, making Twisted Fate stand as far away as possible towards the right, which was right where Shook was standing, so he could join in and close in that fight right as the roots came out. Again, the flash mandatory there, but it does give them another option for this gank later on.
So Zach now coming into the middle lane to cover off where Twisted Fate left off, and they're going to go possibly in for this one. Grasping Root actually missing out this time. Cowtard is now up towards level 6, so he could use those Stranglethorns, but chances of locking down the Zach there, plus finish him off with that passive with Twisted Fate already working his way back to the lane, probably not so high, but Evelyn really using this time here that Zach is covering this mid lane to take away his jungle.
And that gave him level 5 right here, so Shook has a bit of a lead now against the opposing jungler, unless Schlumpf sits here in this lane and leeches away up to 5 as well. So the ultis from the junglers will be very, very important, and especially because Exile just now has hit 6, now's the chance for this team to make a move. The interesting thing though is if he waits about 45 seconds or so, he can get his blue buff first and get a lower cooldown on that teleport.
That top lane, they've actually pretty much frozen that one out. Leona and Varus just letting the farm really come to them. Right now it's 55-47 in favor of Reckless. He's got that longsword, Doran's Blade, and the Berserker Greaves finished off.
And 2 more smart moves were also put in here by this team. Look at the pink ward on the screen right there. That was put down by Twisted Fate. He knows that sight wards are often placed in this area to spot did Twisted Fate go to top lane or towards bottom lane to use his ultimate. And he cleared out any possible wards that would be there. He knows he wants to go and try to get the top lane, make things happen there, and wants to be in darkness while doing so. So good move there that will help blind what Wolves wants to do. However, Wolves, they know that 7 minutes in, Dragon's now on the table. Oh my god, Exile.
Stranglethorn's coming down, and we are going to see Shen getting involved with this one. Exile going very, very low, actually burning. The plants hitting him as well. He went a little bit lower than he was expecting, I think, in that encounter. And that just shows you the danger of this Zyra. And I think we sometimes forget how powerful that Zyra can be because we usually see her in that support role.
She puts out so much damage. And I have to commend one thing that Cowtar did well, which is incredibly difficult to do, is he spawned one of each kind of plant. One that slows and one that has long range. There's no point to get 2 of them. The CC doesn't stack, and you want to at least have a long range one, so he brought Twisted Fate down to 40 health. If he didn't go double Doran's Ring, if he didn't get just enough magic resist, that would have been a kill picked up. Amazing execution by Cowtard. But again, that bottom lane that Wolves sent to the dual lane sent to the bottom lane here is because they know Dragon is a potential here. They've got the pink ward on it. They get another good team fight, they can take control of Dragon.
One thing that's not going ESC's way here is that they're losing on farms on pretty much every single front there. 10 between the AD carries. Mid lane is around that as well. The jungle is at the same point. So Copenhagen Wolves doing a good job of farming, but who's going to have control of this Dragon? We can see that there's a pink ward down. Leona is right on top of it, but not wanting to use that pink ward as of yet, as Shook just spots Hefty Schlum actually working in towards this one. And he's going to get a nasty surprise if he slingshots in.
Seriously. And of course, as well, the number of globals are now back to equal. Youngbuck has his teleport. Steve Stand United is down. And Exile, the Twisted Fate, does have his own destiny. So you can have a 1-for-1 counter gank here, but it will mean that Youngbuck has to leave Steve's lane and will let that Shen really catch up in a fight. So there's not an easy force anymore for ESC. They could wait around, play the laning phase a little bit longer, and wait the last minute and a half till Stand United comes back up, then force a +1 engagement because they can ultimate in twice. They might wait that long. They might go now.
Here we go, we are going to see him coming down. There is the tidal wave coming out. Reckless in all kinds of trouble. He's going to take a lot of damage, but he's managed to flash away from this one. Exile himself now under all kinds of pressure, as we are going to see Shook come in there. First blood did actually go to Hefty Schlump. They have lost Twisted Fate there as well. Shook himself getting ignited, and that'll be enough to force the Wolves away, but in the end, it's ESC that pick up that first blood. It was just a split-second difference between the two kills.
It was a good force right there, and an incredible amount of plays on both sides. So the force was there, very good opportunity, good option right there. Youngbuck actually tried to teleport, and I'm going to guess that was actually shadow dashed away by Steve, because the teleport is on cooldown and is on a short cooldown, which means that teleport got canceled. So maybe he actually chose to get rid of it, realized he couldn't do anything, but either way, Youngbuck tried to teleport and canceled it. But what Copenhagen Wolves did was really cool. Reckless split up from his support, actually got out of range of the Twisted Fate gold card, which means he knew he was going to run towards Ezreal, which made the easy bubble lead there for Unlimited, which allowed the counter gank for Shook. So really good individual plays, made it a 1-for-1 instead of a 1-for-0.
Dragon not being challenged as of yet either. We just saw a ward going over the wall there by Unlimited. Wants to make sure that they've got vision on that one. Of course, the pink ward from earlier on has since then actually timed out. So no vision at the moment for ESC. We'll see if they actually try and come back around and fix that scenario. As, again, Exile on this mid lane. Look at the CS now, 25 behind. Of course, that's partly due as well why that's grown, is because this Twisted Fate has gone down to that bottom lane, and the whole time Coutard was farming.
Exactly. Coutard has been doing so well in this 1v1. You've seen him bully him out in individual matchups sometimes, but here comes the counter game.
They're going to dive into this one. Coutard actually picking up the kill here. Stranglethorn's going to knock Hefty Schlump up, and he's now burning from the Ignite. Can Coutard finish him? Oh, he actually manages to proc the passive there as Coutard now gets focused down. Steve picks up that kill. Shook couldn't quite get across, and the Youngbuck came down as well, finishing off Zach, and that leaves them at 3-2.
And that was double Doran's Ring Coutard. He just now got the needlessly large rod. The amount of damage that guy just dealt destroyed Exile without even thinking about it. And then, because he outplayed Hefty Schlump right there, managed to basically force the explosion out of Zach. The good counter gank came down. Youngbuck followed basically down the river, showed up for that one, Shook with the counter gank as well. Beautiful play right there. The individual skill for Wolves, freaking high, man.
Incredible, incredible stuff. And as you said, Coutard already doing tons of damage earlier on, now has that needlessly large rod in there as well, which is going to become a problem, I think, for Exile. Having to go in there for that cage as a lucky pick. Looks like we are going to be seeing Twin Shadows making an appearance here once again. And now, speaking of appearances, Shook moving towards middle. There is a pink ward down in the brush, though.
He did appear as he went on across right there. But here comes the interesting thing. Is Exile, yes, you mentioned the Twin Shadows likely pick up here, and that's exactly that was the build that Coutard used on Twisted Fate last game, worried about a magic damage dealing bully. And it's interesting because unlike Copenhagen Wolves last game where they could just rely on Tristana to carry, there's now a low damage output build in the making here for ESC. They don't have really good teamfight carry. They don't have a Rise anymore. They've picked a fairly lower damage AD carry, especially one who's under farmed by 20 minions here, Prothana, and you're going utility TF. It will be hard for this team to team fight without abusing globals to create advantageous situations.
They have to get those in there. They're right now 1,200 gold behind. 3-2 in kills. No turret's gone down yet in this one. 13.5 minutes into it. As Zach is going to dive in here on towards Coutard. He actually flashes away as Shook comes around the middle as well. Are they going to be able to lock one down? Hefty Schlump is pretty tanky at this stage as the shoe-shot barrage comes flashing by as well. That was just Reckless trying to maybe secure a kill that could have gone down.
KS, the S stands for secure, never steal, never ever ever, how dare you, but Schlump's gets caught.
He's going to get caught here and he's in a lot of trouble burning away from that. Coutard gets that kill and now it's Exile who's been chased down by Shook. There's another kill coming in. Well, I'm a little bit confused as to how that even happened for ESC because they were low anyway from that last engage. They came around the corner and the Wolves were there and that was far too easy for the Copenhagen Wolves.
That was a really good spot. They knew the blue buff had spawned up. They expected Zach and TF to go for it there. And yeah, the Wolves are going to get dragged off this, of course, but they basically waited around in the corner, said, we think they're going for blue buff. Let's pick it up. Good timing by them to know what was available, what they could take for it. And that is a lot of why, as you can see, the Evelyn was dropped away because she scraps so well once she gets a couple of items, gets a Spirit of the Elder Lizard, gets a couple levels in Hate Spike, has it maxed out by this point, and they can just chase people down and pick up kills.
And just like that, 3,000 gold difference appears between the two. Shook here just getting himself that red buff, which makes it even harder to get away from that Evelyn. As we see here, Youngbuck going to get taunted under the turret, but Youngbuck just not really giving a damn about that one at this point and manages to take the turret.
He is so incredibly tanky, and this is kind of what happens when you've got symmetrical items, but their damage output is different. So basically, you've got a Sunfire Cape here for Malphite, who... he scales off of armor, right? He slows attack speed down, and he can just kind of sit there and AoE minions away, and he's just happy about it. Whereas Shen, yeah, he puts out some magic damage, but needs to actually auto-attack, needs attack speed there, and doesn't scale as hard. And here's the dive in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they do everything there, but Youngbuck coming around the side from this one. They're going to be in a lot of trouble. Shen actually getting involved. Twisted Fate is going to come down to this bottom lane right now as they get the stunning on towards Unlimited. There is a taunt as well. They managed to pick up the kill. Unstoppable Force under the turret. Six just about surviving somehow from that one. Is Reckless. No, he doesn't have that True Shot Barrage available to him, so he can't finish off there. And that, again, a turnaround play from ESC.
That is so good for them. They used the ultimates. That's what they've had to do this whole game, and they got a 1-for-0. Unfortunately, though, Cowtard and Shook could have been showing up to counter-gank that one. They were coming actually across map right then. And so because of that, because of the low health bars, because reinforcements were coming, ESC couldn't turn that into anything else. But Prothana is looking to do a little something on Reckless here.
Oh, he's in a lot of trouble from this one. And he gets slowed from Hefty Schlump as well, who's going to bounce around from him, flash away there from Reckless, and they can't quite lock him down.
They can't quite, of course. Had to burn the flash, though, as well. So a good pickup right here. Now can Exile do anything on Cowtard? Looks like not quite.
Nope, not really scared from it. He's got a Rabadon's Death Cap pin now as Cowtard does have those Strangle Thorns available, and Exile needs to be very, very careful about how far and how deep he decides to try and chase Cowtard from this one. He's going to lose his turret there, so Cowtard winning that lane on all fronts here. Turret's gone down, he's ahead in kills, he's got a big lead in CS as well.
And what I want to see ESC do to turn this one around, though, is actually just force... Oh, God.
Yeah, dead.
Yeah.
Hefty Schlumpy having to actually flash away from that one as well. I'm not sure he's going to get away from an Evelyn with that red buff on, and we see his passive going to get finished off here in just a second. And that is an easy kill picked up there. Steve coming in from the side, though. The question is whether they can turn this one around as Youngbuck comes around the side from that, gets a slow on to Steve with the shard, and Copenhagen Wolves back away.
A really good just escape right there, but Youngbuck's a little bit caught out.
Yeah, he's gone back in for this one. Cowtard is actually there as well, though. And a little bit of apprehension there from ESC. They didn't know whether to turn around. Cowtard had got that distance back, but in the end, they walk away, and good kills picked up by the Wolves.
So the Wolves are just winning the laning phase by just pretty much outplaying their opponents in individual 1v1s. Their picks have come through so incredibly well, right? They first picked the Evelyn, they waited for the Shen, picked the Malphite against it. That's a fine matchup. They waited for the Twisted Fate, picked the Zyra. That was a good matchup as well. Grabbed the first support, picked the AD carry. Every lane has worked out here for the Copenhagen Wolves in direct 1v1s and 2v2s. They've been direct matchups. They've won all of them just heads up. So what's interesting now here is that ESC can't let this keep happening. They can't keep playing the laning phase. Even the TF passive with the bonus gold is not holding them up in these battles. They need to force engagements. And the thing is, they have the ability to do so. The teleport for Youngbuck still 1.5 minutes away, whereas Steve's Stand United is up in 2 seconds, and Exile's Destiny is up right now. And that is the thing that ESC has to keep doing, is force engages where they can make lopsided battles over and over again and snowball ahead that way.
So there's Zyra getting that blue buff. Doesn't even need any help with it right now.
No, easy pickups. He's huge. He's got a Death Cap, he's got double Doran's Ring, the Sword Shoes. Even picked up a Elixir of Brilliance right here. Cowtard is absolutely being massive this game, and it's good to see because they put Reckless on a less hyperscaling AD carry, so Cowtard went full damage out. He was utility TF last time, now he is full AP Zyra, and you've seen him explode people.
Yeah, doing really well with that one. So we are going to see Destiny coming down. There are the Strangle Thorns, and there is Shook right on top of him. Exile is there, a flash away from Cowtard. He's going to get bounced onto here by Zach, actually slowing down as though he wanted to just let Shook catch up with him there. And now Shook going to chase down Hefty Schlump, absolutely explodes him. And that will be a 3-for-1. A brilliant trade again for the Wolves.
That was a 2 versus 2. That was a 3-for-1 and a 2-versus-3, I should say. So I think they're going to get to the bottom, though.
There we go. Prathana is going to go head-to-head here with Reckless. Has he got the barrier? No, he doesn't. 6 finishes off that kill. Unlimited going to have to try and back away as 6 comes underneath that turret. And he needs to be careful with that one. Decides to back off, and rightly so. But they do get another one back here at least. ESC taking down Reckless, who having a different game this time around at 0-2-0.
Well, he didn't get that double kill at level 1. It makes it a lot harder. And though Reckless has been outlast hitting his opponents in lane, the actual explosive power of Varus Leona is so high. They're incredibly bursty, have a ton of crowd control, and there's simply not enough clutch durability on this lineup to deal with that. You don't have like an Alistar headbutt to knock people away and break things apart. You don't have like a Galio putting bulwark on you, or a Kale or Resilient, or any of those like huge turnaround mechanics, and so you can burst out an AD carry even with just 2 people, and that can get worse in a team fight because that Cowtard's too huge to deal with.
And we're seeing a very different Shook this time around as well. Look at his score right now, 5-0-4. Kind of struggled to get into that first game somewhat, especially in the in the early to mid game as well. But this time around, he has been impressive. He's got a 2,300 gold lead right now over his opposite number. Zach and a hefty Schlumpf there, just spotting that Evelyn coming in. He's like, nope, not going to get involved there.
Yeah, honestly, Shook's been having an amazing game right here, that even though ESC has all these globals and these ways to get into fights and like all these movement abilities, Shook is still the one being more omnipresent than Twisted Fate, more omnipresent than Shen. He has been everywhere and forcing engages. Thing is, he's pretty much just showing up for Cowtard over and over because he knows the follow-up is there, but that's fine. It's working every single time. Those 2 guys playing the buddy system are controlling this game from the middle lane.
And Cowtard showing that he's quite happy to play out Zyra against Twisted Fate. Look at the difference in score, 0-5-3 at this point for Exile, who's... well, he's just not got into this game, as he's massively behind in terms of farm. He's massively behind in terms of kills. His items are nowhere near what the damage that Cowtard's able to output here, as we are going to see Copenhagen Wolves getting ganked in the bottom lane. Reckless caught completely out of position. Unlimited going to get slowed. There is a Let's Bounce as well, and now he gets stunned up by Twisted Fate. He's not going to get away from this one.
That is exactly what they needed. The kill gets picked up right there. Young Buck actually had tried to teleport in and realized, nope, I really still can't do anything right here. That's what they needed. Those are the moves ESC needs to make. With the outer turrets down, it's easier to find these fights. They're going to go for Shook.
They need to be careful here because Twisted Fate and the rest of the team coming up. Shook is going to get finished off here. I say that as he presses his W. There's a stun card though, and that will be the finish off. It's Steve that picks it up, and he gets all that lovely gold, 500 of it in fact, for shutting down Shook, and that's another really needed boost for ESC.
Yeah, it was absolutely massive for them. A lot of shutdown gold picked up right there. Of course, they're holding Reckless down as well, which does matter quite a lot. And of course, the other thing you saw was Young Buck on the side said, well, my lane left, I guess we'll push a turret down, and he's done that so far. Young Buck's made a lot of turret headway. ESC finally gonna find one of their own, though. This is needed.
Or
nope.
are they?
Nope, they're not.
Oh, Youngbuck comes in from the side there, from off the screen. Exile going to be chased down by him as Prathana puts in good damage. Here come the Strangled Thorns. 6 not going to escape from that one. Can they follow up though? There is a true shot barrage coming over. It's a double kill for Reckless from distance. Can they keep going this one? Schlumpf is low. Steve is low. He gets slowed down twice as he flashes away. Youngbuck is going for this one. He's not finished. Reckless joins in. They decide they can't quite push through that one, and it looks like they may even be able to get an in-hit turret now.
If the minion wave comes in soon enough, however, there will be 3 reasonably healthy members of ESC back up, and Copenhagen Wolves will not go for it. Initially, I was surprised that Wolves went for that fight because they engaged that battle, but they realized no ultimates were available at that point, and they had Young Bucks still available, and Cowtard was back in the fight with all their ultis. So fighting with ults was a big deal, but they've caught again on Cowtard.
Yeah, he's dead from that one, not escaping from Twisted Fate Shen, and then the Zac coming in on top as well. And this may now be a turret. Again, famous last words as they all decide to back away from that one. Of course, ESC don't have a single turret to their name at this point. We are seeing the supports putting down pink wards there from ESC side. No Oracle at this point for 6. However, Unlimited does have 1 running and already cleared out there, but he's going to have to go back for seconds now.
And this is going to be interesting because you're going to see the gold be basically better for Wolves here. It's easier for them to sweep out wards because of that Oracle. It just makes life a bunch easier. But I want to go back and talk about the Twin Shadows pickup there on Twisted Fate, because you saw his health bar get incredibly low fighting Coutard in that last battle. The 40 magic resist that item gives, he knew he was fighting a very, very bursty mage who was going to ruin his day, and so he itemized some defense, and right there you saw that payoff. Also, the 6% movement speed that it gives allows him to get right into Destiny range, and then when he teleports, get back into range for a gold card in case someone flashes out. And because he's just trying to ensure kills there, it's working this time around. But as they run around towards Baron, they don't control ward coverage very much.
Oh, and Zach is going to come over there, picks up the blue and says thank you very much. Coutard needs to get out of here now. Will flash away from that one, and good decision, because I think he was a dead man from that. Here is Reckless. He is going to have a 5-man dive team onto him right now. He's going to be pretty special if he can get away from this one. And he's going north. He noticed that they're there, and he's like, nope, not going down there. Teleport actually coming in from Youngbuck right now, and somehow they stop that 5-man push coming in. They force flashes all over the place as well. Hefty Schlump gets knocked up there by the tidal wave, and Copenhagen Wolves are chasing this one.
Oh, honestly, they knew that Ezreal would survive one going against Shen for a while, and Coutard is so scary. He was the guy that was around. He was the guy taking blue buff, and so ESC knows, oh, hold on, we need at least 3 people to kill off Coutard, and he'll kill one of us when we do it. And with Youngbuck there to crowd control them, to lock up with Stranglethorns, you know what, you're right. You know what, go ahead and walk away, Reckless.
Get out.
Yeah.
As we see the pink ward being cleared out there by Unlimited's Oracle. They've got good vision now over that Baron pit, but what are the Copenhagen Wolves going to do with this one? Looks like they actually want to try and chase around and go for blue. There we see the Twin Shadows being used to scout out by Exile, and he's like, nope, I'm getting away from this one. Can't stay around.
And that is Copenhagen Wolves using their map control. As long as they stay together, the global ultimate pressure is not nearly as scary for ESC, because all they can do is show up to a 5v5, which, as we saw last game, Twisted Fate showing up to a 5v5, not all that powerful. It was the Rise who did a much better job in some of those battles. But when you go back to the laning phase, then it's time for TF to find things like this.
Oh, Reckless is going to get stunned up from this one. Shen is going to be joining the party as well. They go over the wall. There's the taunt coming down. Reckless not going to escape this one. And Exile now is on a killing spree, funnily enough, after we talked about him at 0 for 5 earlier on.
And that was a really well-played battle by Exile. Oh, Coutard!
Oh, they've caught Coutard here. 2 ultimates stacking on top. There goes the Stranglethorns down. Leona going very low from that. There's the Unstoppable Force as well, as Shooks comes in from the side. Can they finish off? They're going to keep chasing down. Everyone going pretty low here from ESC's side of things, but they're unable to finish anyone off. They're all splitting up here and walking away. There is Shook. Flashes in for the kill on Prathana. Can he get down onto Shen? Not going to be an easy one as the Shadow Dash comes in. He gets away to safety, and a really crazy fight.
They got a 2-for-0 off of a counter engage. That is Zyra's specialty right there. If you go in on a Zyra, your team's going to get rooted and knocked up and be out of range right there, and that is what happened. Leona got caught out trying to dive in, and then Zach went in and was like, oh, shoot, my team's in the air. They can't follow me. Like, I jumped in the air to go forward. They jumped in the air because of Stranglethorns, and that gives Copenhagen Wolves control. I want to talk about that last kill from Exile, though, because he flashed to follow the Arcane Shift to bring Shen along with him to get the kill on Reckless, but it just seems to not matter here. Wolves have control, but it could be a steal.
Oh, there is a brilliant tidal wave coming out. That will stop them going in. Hefty Schlumpfia going to have the active of that Blade of the Ruin King put upon him, but he will just jump away with the elastic slingshot. But either way, Copenhagen Wolves taking the first Baron of the game.
That is so good for them here. You can see a 10,000 gold lead for Copenhagen Wolves. 5 turrets, they've still held on to all those outer turrets right there. We kept seeing teamfight wins by ESC, saying, okay, maybe they'll pick something up, but Wolves found a way to come back and kind of keep those from really doing anything to them. I'm trying to see if there are many dragons picked up here, and honestly, I don't expect many have ever come in for ESC, so there's basically no globals at all picked up by these guys, and that's why you're seeing such a different gold lead. Even though the kills are so close, the fact that Wolves are turning kills into objectives and turrets and dragons, whereas ESC can't do that, is putting that team ahead.
And speaking of dragons, Copenhagen Wolves having themselves another one here. No challenge put up from that one. ESC are just going to have to sit back and soak up a little bit of this farm and hope that they can get back into the game that way, because right now, these fights at the start have been close, but the fact is that Copenhagen Wolves can outlast them in that one, and someone like Shook is perfect then for chasing down to mop up.
Yes, it is. That's what's happening here, is the initial burst is so high. You've got the Zyra ult, the Evelyn ult, the the Malphite ult, even the Nami and Ezreals, they've all got really good R buttons that deal damage and a good chunk of it at the very, very start. At that point, it's okay, who can clean up the best? Reckless can chase down. You've got Haste and the big slow coming in from Nami. You've got Malphite constantly stealing movement speed, and Shook, who just runs at you, presses W, keeps hitting buttons. The cleanup is so good for Wolves. That's what allows them to turn those early kills into actual pushes.
Speaking of pushes, they're onto the inhib turret now in this bottom lane. The inner turret given away for free here. ESC knowing that they can't do anything to stop the Copenhagen Wolves taking that one, but their defense comes up here. But you can see the Zyra damage onto Zach, who's supposed to be the strong one here, along with Steve, as they are going to go in on towards Kowtow. There's a brilliant tidal wave coming down. Kowtow taking a lot of damage, but they turn around onto Leona, get rid of him, and then go for the rest as the Unstoppable Force comes down. They've already managed to pick up 4. Steve's not escaping from Reckless, and that will be an ace for the Copenhagen Wolves.
Beautiful team fight there. Again, the counter engage so strong by those ultimates. Unfortunately, the Zac actually missed his jump in. His elastic slingshot stopped on the wall and didn't actually get in onto Kowtow. They almost bursted him out earlier on in the battle. We got to survive for a while, but counter engage with a gold lead, so good when you want to push like this. Amazingly well played game by Copenhagen Wolves.
Only 3 seconds for Leona, 5 for Varus, but the Copenhagen Wolves are going to go straight through here onto the Nexus and pick up a 2-0 victory over ESC Icy Box here to meet T